What's the best compliment you have ever received? As cliché as it sounds, I helped an old lady cross a busy street. Afterwards, she patted me on the arm and said, "You go tell your mama that I said she raised a good son." Someone having a true and long laugh to one of my jokes. My eye doctor told me I'll never have to get my pupils dilated because they're naturally so large he can see straight back to my retinas. He said he wished all his patients had pupils like mine. You said something weeks ago, it was really clever, and I'm still thinking about it. Back in high school physics, another kid was poking fun at me and said to the teacher, "If you're not careful your son will turn out like Thecardamon," and without hesitation my teacher replied, "I would be proud if my son ended up anything like Thecardamon." Almost moved me to tears right in the middle of class. At my first programming job after college, the boss told me, "I noticed that when you fix something, it stays fixed." This was in an operating system development group, where if you make a mistake, tens of thousands of customers could find out. People sometimes say I have a voice for radio, which always makes me smile. Professional, having lunch with a guy the first used to work for. He had gotten fired because he failed to meet revenue goals because he didn't do a shady deal that I had convinced him not to do. "You know what I like most about you, refreshing_username. You told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear." Personal, I know you've always got my back. After a particularly nasty breakup, my friend took me for ice cream and told me out of everybody I know, "You're the one who deserves the best." It may have been just to cheer me up, but for her to say that meant so much to me at that moment. A fellow Redditor said, "I bet you're fun at parties." I assume this means they would like me to go to a party with them. I'm 22. I've got a friend who is 91 years old. When I go to see her, I tend to try to dress rather conservatively, just because I'm used to older folks being uncomfortable if there's too much skin showing. One day I decided it was too hot to care and wore a crop top with some embroidery on it. The second she saw me she said, "Oh my goodness, I love your top. If I were 70 years younger, I'd love to dress just like you." I was beaming all day. A friend once called me a social ninja in college. I was never the center of attention at a party, but everyone apparently had a meaningful conversation with me at some point that night. I still find that to be an aspirational goal and a point of pride in my social interactions. Cooking is a hobby of mine. So it came as a compliment when I cooked the first dinner for my future mother-in-law, a gourmet chef, who said, "Your cuisine is a culinary triumph." My father-in-law is a man of few words. He does not express much emotion, and if he gives you a compliment it means a lot. Once I had to fire someone over the phone and I was within earshot of my fill. It was a really difficult termination, and I guess he listened to the entire conversation. Afterwards he came up to me and put his hand on my shoulder and was like, "When you've been in business as long as I have, you know someone talented when you see it. Good job." And that was it. I told my husband and he was like, "My dad has literally never said anything like that to me." I told some girl who worked for him who I met at a party, that story, and she was like, "Wow. That is a huge compliment coming from him." I still think about it when I'm having a tough day at work or questioning my ability. I'm like, "No, you know what you're doing and Phil told you so." One guy the first dated kept telling me he really admired how much I cared about the people around me, which is a really nice thing to hear. "You're like the smartest person I've ever met, but you never make anyone else feel stupid. We can ask you any question and you take us seriously." A teen I worked with over the summer who got me right in the feels. I once had a successful business owner tell me I was exactly the kind of guy he would want his daughters to marry. 5 years later, still happily single. I was at a new school, super insecure and scared. I met these two girls during gym and we became instant friends. We were sitting on the bleachers and one says, "You're really pretty." I was so happy, then the other girl chimes in with, "Yeah, I was just watching you talk," and I was like, "Damn, that's not fair." I've always thought of myself as crazy ugly, but that made me feel a little better. Smiley face. I think mine happened the other day. Here I made a comic of it. opening square bracket, closing square bracket, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. A girl once said, I love name, everyone needs a name in their life, about me. I never knew people thought of me like that. You're a fucking moron, but holy shit, that actually worked. Had a stranger come up to me in a hotel lobby and say, I'm high as fuck but you look like light. Girl went to give me a hand job. Said it was the biggest one she has ever seen or touched. I was her first. Was working my evening shift at 7-Eleven like usual, and this girl that I've been talking to a bit, nothing serious, like just extended chit-chat. I would compliment her dresses and that she looked pretty, not trying be flirty. I like to believe that everyone deserves a compliment. Then as she is getting her stuff to pay for it, she tells me, hey, I'm leaving for school tomorrow and I wanted to let you know that I like you and think you're cute. I couldn't fucking believe what I heard and my jaw might as well have hit the floor. But I never fucking said I like her back. I froze, damn it. And I regret that so damn much. One of the most sexy and gorgeous women I ever seen in my life was at a bar. Came over and talked to me. We talked about life, and when I mentioned I had kids she said, oh, so you're a DILF. No one's ever called me that before and it made my year. My grandmother, who hates beards, told me that she liked my beard once. One time I gave a ride to two strangers. One of them, an old man, said he had just prayed to God to get a ride when I appeared. Then he said that I am an angel sent by God to help him. When I was in the 2nd grade, we had this poetry writing assignment that our teacher ended up putting together into a little class booklet. I wrote a couple of poems, but one of them, called There's a Bear in My Hair, really caught my teacher's attention. He pulled me aside after class one day and told me that he really liked it and wanted to enter it into this national poetry competition where it could end up in a book and I could get some scholarship money for college. It didn't win, but having a teacher compliment my writing and encourage me like that was a huge push for me wanting to become a writer. Here is the poem, in case anyone wants to read it. It's pretty dumb and weird, but I still think it's kind of cool to this day. I was about 11 and wrote a poetic sentence, haiku, which the school liked so much they read it out in assembly. I was pretty miserable at the time. Narcissist mother who I could never please was preventing me from seeing dad, who I was close to, so it was a nice surprise to be recognized as clever at school. It was winter in Christchurch, NZ, and frigging cold. Over 30 years later I still remember the words, spider webs glisten like mother of pearl, soaking in the mysterious atmosphere, while condensation gathers, moistening dry clothes. My girlfriend told me when I'm in your arms it's the safest I've felt all my life. I proposed the very next week. Edit, my fiancé found this post and comment. She came home and immediately said thank you. She loved that she was the one I ended up bragging about on the internet and even started crying saying how much she is glad to have found me. We ended up going out to dinner. I was a bit popular in high school, but not incredibly so. I hung out with a wide range of people, jocks, burnouts, preps, this was the 90s, etc. I never really stuck out for reasons good or bad. So imagine my surprise when, my senior year, I was voted best smile in the yearbook. A friend of mine nominated me on a lark, but it worked. Felt pretty good, because I never really considered that I had a nice smile. Bearded angel. I stopped an intoxicated woman, talking in the phone, from stepping into traffic. Fuck you, you piece of shit. You have a great voice. I don't know why, but this compliment really makes me feel good. I've always had really bad teeth, but lately I've been working really hard on getting them better, and last time I saw my dentist she exclaimed, oh, your gums are so much better. Her excitement made me so happy, as well as the actual progress. It's the first time I've gotten a compliment from a dentist my entire life, smiley face. During my 2nd year in college, I felt pretty shit for a few months. Lots of fights at home with parents, trouble in school, developing unhealthy habits, etc. I felt pretty bad about myself and started to consider myself weak and failing in life. While I was talking one evening with some friends from high school in group chat, a female friend of mine told me, I doubt I could handle the things that you are confronted with. You're not mentally strong, you're mentally ripped. You deserve the best. That really made me feel good. Thanks for watching. What would be your response? Leave it in the comments and see what the others say. Please also like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, take care.